Welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. I hope you're having a bright, calm day, because today we're diving into a storm that's been swirling across Turkish showbiz feeds and fan forums. The topic is as charged as it is fascinating: a public defense from Akınözü standing up for Ebru Şahin. Yes, you read that right. With whispers turning into shouts and comment sections catching fire, Akın has stepped forward and spoken clearly, taking a position that leaves very little room for misinterpretation. If you're curious about what he said, why he said it, and why it matters right now, stay with me until the last moment. And of course, if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets and turn on notifications, so you don't miss the next twist behind the scenes. Let's get straight to the heart of it. The news making the rounds is simple in shape but complicated in feeling. Akınözü has publicly defended Ebru Şahin. Anyone who tracks Turkish television knows they're not just recognizable names, they're cultural touchstones. They worked side by side on a drama that went beyond borders, Hırkay, which left audiences across continents glued to their screens. The electricity between them on camera has long been celebrated, debated, and yes, endlessly speculated upon. That energy hasn't faded in the public's imagination, and neither has the scrutiny that comes with it. So what triggered this wave of support? Reports suggest that Ebru has recently been targeted by a string of criticisms, some about her choices, some about her personal boundaries, some about her professional path. When you live in the spotlight, the smallest spark can become a wildfire, and that wildfire can burn through years of careful, earnest work. It's never easy to see your name tangled with rumors, especially when the creative process behind the scenes is so much more demanding than any outsider will ever know. And that's where Akın decided to step in. What he's made clear, according to various interviews and verified accounts, is that he admires Ebru's craftsmanship and the discipline she brings to each set, scene, and rehearsal. For him, this isn't about noise or clickbait, it's about principle. He chose his words with care, underscoring that Ebru's achievements are born of sweat and intention, not of shortcuts or opportunism. He described her as a consummate professional, a sharp mind, and someone who honors every project by giving all she has. It's not just a show of affection or a friendly nod, it's a firm line drawn against the tide of unfair commentary. Let's break down what stands out in his stance. First, he refocused the conversation on talent and work ethic. Too often, success is explained away as luck, good timing, or some mysterious advantage, when in reality it's built day by day. Through script study, rehearsal, feedback, trial and error, and the kind of resilience that never makes a headline. Akın's message is that Ebru's path has been carved by effort and skill, and that erasing that truth with idle chatter is a disservice to the craft. Second, he highlighted the importance of boundaries. Artists are public figures, yes, but they are also people with families, personal histories, and the right to a private life. The line between what's for the camera and what belongs only to the heart can become dangerously blurred when attention spirals out of control. Akın's defense called for basic decency: watch the work, celebrate it or critique it, but don't reach into private spaces to manufacture a narrative. Third, his tone carried something rare in a competitive industry: solidarity. He didn't make it about winning, or ratings, or whose name trends longer. He made it about community and the dignity of the profession. Now, we know the public loves to connect dots, especially when there's visible chemistry and past collaborations. But his posture deliberately moved away from fanning romance headlines and toward a quieter truth: respect. He can be close to Ebru, on screen, off screen, as a partner in life or simply as a partner in art, and still insist that the story begin and end with the work. That doesn't make the defense colder. It makes it cleaner, and in many ways, stronger. According to those who heard his statements firsthand, he framed it like this: Ebru is an artist who has earned every milestone through relentless preparation and unwavering commitment. She deserves to be seen through the lens of her accomplishments, not through rumor or conjecture. He would not stand by and watch her career be overshadowed by narratives that don't reflect who she is or how she works. The words were measured but powerful, the kind that linger after the microphone is switched off. They acknowledged the person behind the persona and asked the audience to do the same. And here's where we pause and ask why gestures like this matter. Public opinion is a quick current. It can lift someone high in a single weekend or drag them downward just as fast. For performers, that current is inescapable. It drives opportunities, but it can also frame them unfairly. When a figure like Akın, a name with weight, takes a risk to speak up for Ebru, it's not just a private message sent across a set, it's a public lighthouse against a noisy sea. He's reminding everyone that quality should outshine gossip, that a decade of steady work can't and shouldn't be defined by one breathless rumor thread. Of course, there's another layer in all this: timing. In the digital age, everything moves at an unforgiving speed. An offhand comment can be amplified into a headline before lunch. A cropped clip can paint a distorted picture. That's why voices that people trust matter, and why Akın's intervention has resonance beyond a single interview. It counters the acceleration with a pause, an invitation to reconsider, to look more closely at the body of work and not the buzz. What he's really done is recenter the conversation around Ebru's artistry. He's underscored that she's more than a role, more than a photo from one angle, more than a caption that invites chaos. He said, maybe not with those exact words, but with clear intent, that she deserves nuance, that the professional deserves as much attention as the celebrity. And make no mistake, it takes courage to do this publicly. A statement like his can invite its own wave of speculation. Why now? What's really going on? Yet he stepped forward anyway, and that choice speaks volumes. We've seen this pattern across the history of entertainment. In every era, there are bright careers pressured by narratives that don't align with the reality of hard labor. In Turkey, beyond Turkey, it's the same dance: immense love from fans, intense scrutiny from media currents, and a fragile balance in the middle. Gestures of support, spoken with clarity, without insults, without adding fuel, can slow the spin and return the spotlight to where it belongs. When one artist vouches for another, the story becomes less about conflict and more about craft. So, to bring the threads together, Akın's defense of Ebru zeroes in on three pillars. First, her capability: a performer who prepares, who creates with intention, who treats her audience with respect by giving them thoughtful work. Second, her privacy: a boundary that is not a challenge to be breached, but a line to honor, because creative people need shelter to keep creating. Third, professional solidarity. The idea that standing beside each other in difficult moments is not just kind, it's necessary for the health of the industry. If you've been watching their journey since the days of that globe-spanning series, you know why this resonates so deeply. The on-screen electricity that first hooked millions wasn't an accident, it was trust, teamwork, and an understanding of rhythm and silence. Those qualities don't vanish once a director calls cut. They carry into real life, into interviews, into the decision to speak up when silence would be easier. The defense isn't grandstanding, it's a continuation of that trust, echoed for the public to hear. Let's also talk about what this means for fans. Audiences today aren't passive, you shape the discourse as much as anyone else. When you choose which headlines to share, which comments to amplify, which narratives to believe, you become part of the story. Akın's words are a gentle challenge. Look for substance. Ask whether the criticism you're reading is grounded in evidence or an assumption. Measure the tone: does it illuminate the work or overshadow it? Give the benefit of context, because context is everything. That's not asking for blind loyalty, it's asking for thoughtful engagement. On the industry side, there's a lesson too. Competition can be healthy. It pushes for better scripts, deeper characters, braver performances. But competition without compassion curdles into cynicism. A public defense like this sets a different example. It shows that excellence and empathy can coexist. It invites others to celebrate each other's wins, to recognize the grind behind the glamour, and to stand firm when unfairness creeps in. Now, as always, perspective helps. No one is beyond critique, and Ebru would be the first to say that growth often comes through honest feedback. But there's a world of difference between feedback and a feeding frenzy. Feedback is about the work, what succeeded, what didn't, how a choice played on screen. A feeding frenzy treats a person as content. Akın was drawing that line, reminding everyone that while the work is public, the person inside remains human. In practical terms, what happens next? Maybe the noise lowers a notch. Maybe it doesn't. But a stake has been planted. Fans who love them have something to point to. A steady voice asking for fairness. New audiences curious about the fuss might start by watching the performances that made their names sparkle, and in doing so, they'll meet the artists that the gossip rarely bothers to see. That alone is a win. And there is something intimate, even elegant, about the way Akın chose to speak. No barbed comebacks, no cryptic subtweets, no escalation. Just a clear message that respects everyone, including those who disagree. That tone keeps doors open. It allows for disagreement without dehumanization. It's a model, frankly, that a lot of public conversations could learn from. So, where does that leave us? With a reminder that some stories are worth retelling the right way. That an actor stepping up for an actor, partner, colleague, co-star, can change how a headline lands. That in a world that moves too fast, slowing down long enough to honor the truth of the work is itself an act of grace. And, above all, that Ebru Şahin's journey should be read through the chapters she's written with her performances, not through margins scrawled in haste by people who weren't there. We're at the end of today's deep dive. We've traced Akınözü's words, the context behind them, and the ripple they're sending across fan communities and industry circles. If you found any part of this helpful, share it with someone who loves Turkish drama as much as you do, someone who remembers the first time they saw a scene that made them forget the room they were sitting in. Before you go, I'd love to hear what you think. Was Akın right to speak up? How do you navigate the pressure cooker that is modern celebrity culture? What would you say to keep the focus where it belongs? Drop your thoughts below, your voice shapes this space as much as mine. And as always, thank you for watching Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Hit like if this resonated, subscribe if you want more conversations that look past the noise, and turn on those notifications so you're here the moment the next chapter begins. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep your eyes on the art. We'll be back soon with more stories, more context, and more of the heartbeat that keeps this world turning.